It's hard to explain to people what I'm trying to do as an artist because I do not fit the artist description. And I'm always doing everything so subversive and like always differently. My work deals a lot with contradiction. I embrace contradiction. Ahora vamos. Contradiction can coexist with beauty, can coexist with anger, can coexist with the different emotions, the human body. In No Crying Aloud in the Barbershop, it's about recreating my memory. When I was 5 years old, my father took me to get my first haircut right around the neighborhood. What was meant to be a celebration became a disastrous event. This barber, he was not used to deal with kinky hair, curly hair. I was crying a lot. I was scared. I was traumatized by the sound of the hair clipping. There was a combination of race and rite of passage into becoming a little man. And I think that they both came together simultaneously. No Crying Aloud in the Barbershop deals with the issue of machismo, but as a whole. And as a whole, it connects to the universe somehow. The piece pays homage to my father, a man of African descent. I often feel that as people of African descent, we were completely displaced from the communities that we come from. Which is a contradiction, but it makes sense in Puerto Rican reality.
When he was about 8 or 9 years old, I noticed that he painted the ceiling of the house, of his room. It was beautiful, it looked beautiful. So later on I got happy.
He always, everything, he wanted always to...
He was doing all kinds of articles like houses, trucks, cars and everything,
yes.
In wood. And we enjoy seeing him working because I want him to make, at least to have a trade.
Coming from a working class family, being an artist is not an option. It's more of a challenge than anything else. I just cannot remember ever saying, I'm going to be an artist. It was not a possibility. It was not an alternative. I was working as a social worker and I put that role in my pocket. I always had to have two things happening simultaneously just in case one didn't go good. Well, then I had the other one to survive. The only way that I can connect, it's by doing installation work. Because I feel that I needed to say something that it had to be beyond something on the wall. I need to create a space that is overpowering.
No, yo levanto.
And I'm very much aware that my work, it's one that provides aesthetically an uncomfortable reaction in many people. It's interesting because a lot of the people ask me, do you live like this? This is how your home is? And it isn't. I am making a very calculated intervention. When this piece, The Scene of a Crime, was at the Whitney Museum, it almost felt as if I had taken a piece of the South Bronx and placed it in the middle of Madison Avenue. The Latino community has been portrayed as one that is very accessible. And in specifically The Scene of a Crime, it has a yellow ribbon where people are not allowed to come in. Because I have delineated these very specific spaces and very specific issues as sacred spaces. And as you stand and you're not allowed to come in, then you need to reflect. And you need to confront yourself. Almost as if I stand a giant mirror right in front of you. Every time I create a work of art and I go into different other sectors of society to gather information, and the work is created when I bring together where I am and where the rest of society is.
I just want to know if do we have to keep on visiting you behind bars, or we gonna live like a family already? Cause you in jail and us two out here, mom is probably ain't barely making it. You know what I'm saying?
I used to get up in the middle of the night to change your pampers. You pissed on me a couple of times. You used to cry, and I remember all of that. I remember the first words that came out of your mouth was, Daddy.
I didn't pass this year because there was one death after the other, and then you getting locked up, and it was just like everything, just falling on me. And
what I would love people to come out is thinking who they are in relationship to what they had just seen. And start a negotiation, not only with the artwork, but the public at large.
You said that you're always fighting,
Who I am.
You're everything to me.
Where do I stand?
I love you, Nelson.
I'm very much aware that I wanted to do is to provoke change, not only socially, but physically and spiritually.
like a family.
It's getting older.
You've done public art projects in barber shops, in taxi cabs, in basketball courts. Is this the first time you do a project within a domestic setting?
No, I've worked in Santa Barbara. It was called State of Preservation.
It was about plastic.
And it was about plastic. I went with the whole issue of the stereotypical imagery of Latino family using plastic, and I went into this very open-minded family, a very wealthy family, and we plastified the whole house. And it lived like that for about three months. Every single precious object was plastified, and it was incredible. They were really open-minded people. Home visits, it's loosely rooted in religious popular tradition of the visiting saint. When I was a kid, we were visited by a niche of a Virgin of Guadalupe sent by the church. And I thought, what about the same thing with contemporary art?
It almost looks like there's flame in there, like there.
Why can't contemporary art visit one home after the other for the week? The idea of the new century, it's about a renewal for me. I wanted to go back and renew all this, my mission, my philosophy, my way of looking at art, And I know there's something missing that I wanted to find or create again. Who's that in the front, Sacha?
That's Pepón. Telling a story.
Telling the story of how it happened. The story is based on Tina and her 2 daughters. Tina lost her house and all her possessions due to a fire. Shortly after it happened, she put a little blanket over the girl, and so there's a lot of stories inside that the family told me. I was intrigued by the idea that I've gained so much, yet the possibility of losing it all overnight. So, moving right along. Got to take it to another place, another opening.
I'm gonna miss the house because I've been here for a week, and it's gonna feel funny having this space open.
Since childhood, I have felt that somehow there is one piece missing. When I got to New York, I spoke English, but it wasn't good enough. So then I just felt that somehow I couldn't understand completely what was going on, but I got a picture of it, but it wasn't so good that it didn't get the real picture of it. And sometimes I feel that I'm eternally, displaced, that I'm there, but I'm not quite there. But I think that as an artist, I've been able to resolve one thing, to find my own place. I have a very clear mission. I know exactly what I wanted to do with my work, and how my displacement somehow seems perfectly fine for the people out there, because there are many of us in the same boat as I am.
Así que le doy las gracias a Pepón por darme esa oportunidad también, y espero que así mismo salga de aquí para el otro hogar donde se va a entregar la casa.
Gracias, Isa.